Do tall men cheat more? That question sounds simple, but opens a door to a much broader discussion about opportunity, attraction, and what data actually shows versus what we intuitively expect. When I first answered this question in a more abstract way, I admitted that I hadn't personally seen solid data addressing it. Later, however, an online social scientist who enjoys running large DIY-style analyses responded. He claimed to have checked a sizable dataset and found no meaningful association between male height and infidelity. That result surprised me, because my prior assumption leaned in the opposite direction, based largely on opportunity rather than morality. My intuition was that taller men would, on average, cheat more simply because they might have more opportunities to do so. This is not a moral judgment about tall men or an accusation that anyone who can cheat will cheat. It is just a logical point. People who lack opportunities cannot act on them, whereas people who have more opportunities at least have the option. If someone has fewer potential partners interested in them, the scope for infidelity is naturally smaller. From that perspective, height seemed like it could matter, not because of character, but because of access. If you think about it practically, it might be more challenging for a man who is 5 feet 4 inches to cheat compared to a man who is 6 feet 2 inches, simply because the dating pool available to him may be smaller. That does not mean it is impossible, and it certainly does not mean shorter men never cheat. It just means that, on average, the number of potential partners expressing interest could be lower. Most women, when asked, report a preference for taller men, which intuitively suggests that taller men might encounter more romantic opportunities overall. That is why I was genuinely surprised to hear that the data showed no association at all. I am inclined to take the analyst at his word, especially if the dataset was large and well-constructed. Still, the result ran counter to my expectations. In the abstract, I would expect almost any trait that is widely considered attractive in men to be associated with infidelity to some degree, not because attractive men are worse people, but because attraction expands the pool of possible partners and, therefore, the number of situations where temptation could arise. Height is just one such trait. Others include a full head of hair, clear skin, bright eyes, symmetrical features, or a generally healthy appearance. All of these traits can increase attention and interest from others. When you open up the pool of opportunity, you also open up the possibility of behaviors like infidelity, even if most people do not act on those possibilities. That is the basic reasoning, and it is why a null finding for height feels counterintuitive, even if it is empirically accurate. This discussion about attraction and perception connects nicely to another viral moment that sparked a lot of debate online: the Aliem body transformation. It is a bit old now, but the fallout from it is still interesting, especially because I never really commented on it at the time. William Costello posted a Twitter poll that somehow went completely viral. Thousands of people weighed in, particularly women, responding to images of a man before and after a dramatic physique transformation. In the transformation, Aliem went from a fairly average male physique with a small amount of definition to something much leaner, probably around 10% body fat, with a noticeable increase in muscular definition. Women were asked whether they preferred the dad bod before or the lean, ripped after. Contrary to what many men expected, a large number of women said they preferred the before. This sparked intense debate, accusations of dishonesty, and a broader conversation about stated versus revealed preferences. I remember seeing the post almost immediately and thinking it was a brilliant example. William has a strong intuition for sex differences, so he knows how to design questions that provoke clear, polarized responses. He asked men and women the same basic question: does this guy look better before or after? The after image showed an extremely lean, almost stage-ready physique, while the before image showed a more relaxed, everyday look. The responses split sharply along gender lines. Men overwhelmingly preferred the after image, while women largely preferred the before. Many men interpreted this as women being dishonest or coy about their real preferences. There was a widespread insinuation that women were lying to appear less shallow or less focused on physical traits. I do not find that explanation convincing. When women are asked about height preferences, they are extremely open about preferring taller men. Survey after survey shows that clearly, and the dating market reflects it. The same is true for muscularity. Women openly say they like muscles, And when you look at outcomes, more muscular men tend to have more positive romantic experiences. In these cases, stated preferences align very well with revealed preferences. Height and muscularity both show strong consistency between what women say and what their behavior indicates. That makes it unlikely that women suddenly decided to lie en masse about leanness, especially when anonymity was involved. Leanness appears to be different. The evidence suggests that women do not prefer men to be extremely lean. When you look closely at Ali M's transformation, much of the change seems to be fat loss rather than significant muscle gain. Men looked at the photos and saw a guy who got jacked. Women, however, may have seen a guy who simply lost a lot of body fat and became too lean. Those are two very different interpretations of the same image. Research on body fat preferences supports this idea. Women's preferred male body fat percentage tends to be higher than what many gym-focused men assume. It is not 10% or 8% or stage-ready leanness. In a recent study using DXA scans, which accurately measure body fat, the preferred range was around 13 to 14%. That is still lean by normal standards, but it is not shredded. You have visible upper abs, some definition, but you still look full and healthy. This is where two worlds collide. For fitness enthusiasts, 14% body fat might sound easy, even comfortable. For the average person, getting to 14% requires real discipline and a sustained calorie deficit. Many men underestimate how lean that actually is. They imagine that women want something closer to single-digit body fat, when the evidence suggests otherwise. There is also individual variation in how people carry fat and muscle, which changes how lean someone appears at the same percentage. Some men look great even at 18 or 20% body fat, especially if they carry fat in their legs or glutes rather than their midsection. Others can get down to 12% and still struggle to look defined if they store fat centrally. Muscle mass also plays a huge role. Someone with more underlying muscle can carry lower body fat and still look healthy. Ali M may have been a case of being very lean, without quite enough muscle mass to support that level of leanness aesthetically. Ultimately, the key takeaway from both discussions is that intuition often diverges from data. We expect height to correlate with cheating, but the data may say otherwise. We expect women to prefer extreme leanness, but research suggests moderation. Attraction is multidimensional, context-dependent, and shaped by more than just single traits. Understanding that complexity requires moving beyond assumptions and actually looking at evidence, even when the results challenge what seems obvious at first glance.